Well, if you're confused about the differences between traditional and cozy mysteries or hard-boiled versus noir, we have good news for everybody. I'm Fedora Amos, president of Greater St. Louis Sisters in Crime, and we are seeking answers through interviews with working writers. Our results come from a completely non-scientific survey. My responders consisted of avid readers, mostly women, who buy books and love mysteries. I asked them to choose their favorite subgenres from these categories: classic, private eye, true crime, historical, police procedural, and amateur sleuth. You can find them all on our YouTube channel, Sisters in Crime, Greater St. Louis branch. Yes, the categories overlap, and yes, they're a bit arbitrary. We'd love to hear your suggestions and comments. Send them to fedora@fedoraamos.com. Perhaps we should have fewer categories or more. Why should we have any? The huge volume of books published each year grows at such an explosive rate that we need more specific words to locate our preferences and to describe them to others. Well, today we're doing something entirely different. You see, our interviewee seems to have a split personality. She loves mystery for children as well as adults. This is Nanci Allen, a recent transplant to St. Louis. There she is. So, can you tell us a little about yourself?
Me?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm a mystery book lover since the Nancy Drew series, and I kind of identified with her and Agatha Christie and everybody, and I was always a reader, a voracious reader. And I practiced medicine for 25 years and left that in 1990. And several of my girlfriends who are doctors write mysteries about medical mysteries. And I kind of get inundated with that. But, and I am more interested in writing children's books. However, I love mysteries and I want to try my hand at writing a mystery. And one of the things I'm working on, and you're very inspirational to be part of a group, obviously, because procrastination's my middle name, and as is everybody's, and I'm getting all kinds of tips on how to get it together, including one of my girlfriends who bought me writing courses. But I don't know if that's what I want. But one of the things I'm sort of into very much now is reading series by any mystery writer I like. And I decided, and I was on a plane last week or 2 weeks ago with a woman who loves mysteries, and she told me she loved, I think, Elizabeth somebody, and so I got them from the library, and I didn't like them at all. I don't like historical mysteries, and I was reading some Robert Parker because he's a great mystery writer, and I decided I don't like him because I'm sick of his descriptions of the clothes and the people. I don't like how he talks about the people. I love Stephen King. I love other ones, but it's helping me in my writing. How's that?
Wonderful.
I mean,
Absolutely wonderful.
looking at what you don't like in other people's writing can help you see what you want to focus on. And one of the things I don't like is a lot of the self-published people who I've met through all my writing groups, and I went to a lot of mystery meetings. A lot of self-published ones feel like the women got together or the men got together and said, write more descriptions, make your, open it with a bang, hang the fish in front of, hang the carrot in front of the horse and make the people jump to it. I really appreciate great writing, and there is not much great writing. How's that?
Well, mystery writing often follows formulaic precepts, which many people may find a bit redundant after a time. But personally, I think everything that is worth reading has some element of mystery in it, because you need to have a reason to turn the page, to turn to a new chapter.
Right,
but get a new book.
But the other thing is, I find if I can't attach to somebody that I'm reading about, I just started, what I just started about some woman FBI agent. Scott, is it somebody, I think his first name Scott or second, but I like the character. If I like the character, it's easier for me to read it. And then Louise Penny, who was wonderful for her first 5 or 6 books, somehow her last 2 books have been disappointment. But I want to at least write something and try and go for it and make my own mistakes and try and correct them the next time round. But I like this group because I like to hear what other people are doing. I mean, and how they do it.
So you say that you're a procrastinator. What in fact does get your tush in the chair to write?
Yes. All my ideas are of naught because I do not apply pen, hand to computer. And so, yes, my sister had a favorite saying. I had an older sister who was a genius, and she would always say to me, talk is cheap, talk is cheap, talk is cheap. And that usually meant he said he loved me, and she would say, talk is cheap, or this is the best school to go to, talk is cheap. The only other thing I have in my favor is I'm a Barnard College graduate, and Erica Young was in the class above me. And my class has a lot of writers, but here, my favorite writer from my class, there's 2 favorite ones. One was a woman who's a physician, but she took care of a mobster. In fact, she traveled with him on his boat, and she was a cardiologist, and she took care of him. And so she wrote books called Doctor to the Mob. And another writer from my class was a ballerina, and she was seduced by this great Russian ballet person and wrote a bestseller. So I like that I've been surrounded by writers. So it feels like a sisterhood. Or a brotherhood, not to exclude our men, I mean, it's just at Barnard, it was a sisterhood, but.
Well, we at Sisters in Crime also have Misters in Crime. So we're sisters and misters. We're not sexist. We love mysteries and support anybody who wants to write them.
Well, I love meeting the guys. When I went, I thought that was a lovely event, and I really enjoyed it. Hopefully I will put butt to chair and make an effort to get the ideas out of my head and onto paper.
Terrific. Absolutely terrific. Well, do you have a book that you are currently working on?
Yes, I have the ones I described, the mystery about, the one that takes place in the building, and that, so that was one. And the other one was the murder in Middle Island, because I'm very suspicious of deaths of old people. I think it's actually a true problem in our society. People are very happy to pay somebody to watch somebody. And I think the way our society is structured, that many people are murdered by family and friends or not friends. And that I think, because with my medical history, that how easy it is to knock somebody off. Little extra dose of insulin, a little smothering, a little, a lot of these people are vulnerable. And especially with this money, it's always money. As I've gotten older, I've decided it's love or money, but it's always money usually on these. And I would like to draw some attention to the senior population and their vulnerability to this sort of murder.
I think that's very timely right now, with so many nursing homes and the like having trouble with staff who are underpaid and undereducated for what they're attempting to do. Could it simply be negligence, do you think?
Yeah, I do think, and I don't mean to, it's judgmental what I'm saying, so I don't like to do that. But these people are at the low, they're sociologically, they're at the bottom. It's a hard job. Nobody wants it. Just as you said, undereducated, underpaid. They see people who seem to have more than they do, and there's too much envy and jealousy, etc. It's greed and a million reasons. For all you know, they may think they're taking Mrs. Cohn out of her pain. You know,
Yes.
I mean, I don't mean to be judgmental, and I don't think seniors are valued in our society. Um, and I mean, I think a lot of people say, "Oh, I love grandma, I love mother," but do they really?
Or are they waiting for the moment, huh?
Right. Well, my mother used to say, she lived in a building, and she said the women in the building were always, when the husbands were dead, would say, "My beloved husband, my beloved husband." She said, but before the husband died and left them their money, he was a pain in the neck. He didn't want to eat lamb chops. He wanted to have his whatever. He needed his socks ironed, for all we know. He was a pain in the butt. But once he died and left the money, he suddenly became, oh, my beloved husband, and suddenly he was a saint, and the best sainthood act he ever did was dropping dead. Who knows if she murdered him? I mean, not my mother, but but it's, I think it is appropriately relevant to the society in which we live. And the loneliness experienced by our elders who turned to, I was scammed in Florida because I had people walking my dog and who said, "Oh, I want to be your assistant and I'll take care of you and I'll shop for you and I'll do this for you." And you're sort of lonely and alone, and you cling to somebody who offers to be nice. And it turns out all they want is stealing your money. And I say I was scammed because I lost a few $1,000s before I caught on. And now I clean my own house and I'm trying to figure out how to walk my own dogs. But I think that we are in a time of our society when, and maybe having an older lady author will help elders. It's another thing. Maybe I'll represent people who are still alive. And maybe they won't ask me about my grandchildren when they meet me.
Yeah, well, you're in a better position there than I am because I don't have any grandchildren. But at any rate,
I assure you, once again, it's overrated.
I'm glad to hear that.
A lot of things are overrated. Don't. I'm not rubbing your nose and you don't have grandchildren. But when you're old and people meet you, they think
that's all.
That's what they should ask you about.
So with that in mind, is that the kind of character you're creating in your mystery, which is to help us value old people?
Yes, obviously it's going to be solved by an older lady who is a little discounted by the local police.
Oh, a Miss Marple type.
Yes, treated politely, but a little disdain. But she will be assisted by, I'm glad you asked that, because I think I'll have somebody on the police force help her a little. Because maybe she reminds him of his granny or something. And that'll give her somebody do the footwork. That's a good idea. Thank you, Theodore. That's a good way for the old lady to solve the mysteries. And wait, this old lady, by the way, is computer literate.
I think most are these days. You have to be.
You have to be, but doesn't mean you are. Wait, we have to be realistic. You're computer literate. I'm computer literate. That does not mean that most older people are. I actually saw an old man offer some young kid at Panera's yesterday money to teach him how to play video games.
I would think that if you just plow into the video game with a desire to play it, you'd learn soon enough.
Yes, that's how we do it. But it's intimidating to certain people with certain personalities. They don't think they can do it because they haven't ever done it before. So anyway, yes, that's what I'm going to be working on now. And I better have something written before next month's meeting, right?
Well, no, we won't be doing that again, probably until October, or maybe not even until December, because we have so few in-person meetings these days. I was aiming for 4 this year, and we're going to have 4 this year, but we'll be mostly on Zoom. And we may talk about that a little, though, at our various meetings, depending upon the time. Our next meeting, is a week from today in the evening, and it's going to be Deborah Walden Davis. And she is one of those self-published persons, but she's a very successful self-published person. So,
I look forward to that. That sounds good. Let me ask you a funny question. I belong to what used to be the Welcome Club. It used to be a club that greeted new people when they came to town. And there's still a Welcome Club in St. Louis. They meet every month for a mystery book.
do they?
Yes, what I was thinking after our meeting is, do any of our published people have any interest in meeting this group? It's
Sure,
not,
I'd be happy to.
okay, then I will forward it because they're a nice group of people. They're very nice people. And they're formed to welcome new people into town.
Mhm.
And they just happen, I mean, they're very pleasant. You're very pleasant. So that's good. If you hear from somebody and says, I'm part of the Welcome Club, that's what,
Sure.
it's a very, you know what, people who do mystery night, a mystery book reading once a month, want to meet an author who writes them.
Mhm.
It's very thrilling to them. So that'll be good. Let me ask you another question. I haven't named my lady yet. Any suggestions on giving a name to your main character besides Miss Marple?
Choose something that is in the time frame that you're talking about. Someone who, pick a friend's name of your own age if you want to be a character of that age. You want to be a character of that age, and you might talk to them. They might love to have their names. In fact, I have done charitable work in which they sell. One of the things that I sold was the opportunity to name a character in my book.
Susan Isaacs does that.
So, and it's a good way to support a charity, and then you get a name if you're looking for a name. The main thing I would say about naming characters is that you should not have characters that start with the same initial other than your main character. And then you don't want everybody to be named Sam and Samantha and Samuel and so on, because they get way too confusing. So it's best to have them start with different initials, like a Mike and a George and a Frank and so on, so that you have different names that are a lot easier for a reader who reads fast to keep it straight. So that's my advice on names primarily. Other than that, pick names that interest you or that you think are memorable. I have a whole bunch that I've accumulated, many of them because I think they're funny, they're humorous names, or clever, or because they're very similar to the emotion that I want that character to portray. So that's
Well, it's very easy because I haven't met any young Nancy's, Arlene's.
exactly.
Right. Or Sheila's. They're all my age, right?
That's right. So that will set your character in a period better often than anything else you do, or any description that you do, is to set it in a period.
How much of physical body description of victims, detectives, incidentals do you think makes it more filled out? Makes the story more filled out. Robert Parker gives these, I almost thought he was gay for a while because he's describing the shoes everybody wears and the purses and the suits and the ties. It was like, are you gay? It was like.
Well, I think different authors have a different take on that. But by and large, the modern way is the Hemingway way. Use as little as you possibly can, but make it very, very telling.
Right. Well, that's
concrete.
Hemingway is one of my favorite authors, which is, it's more my style. It's I don't know whether it's more the Bronx style or whatever, or Puzo style, but it's
a journalistic style primarily, because that's really what he was at heart.
Oh, really? What about Mario? Mario, the guy who wrote the Godfather series?
I do not know what he did for a living, other than write.
He
But
writes, but he writes well. By the way, talking about writing, is anybody else following this series I just found this week, Barry?
I'm not, so I don't know.
I think it's on Netflix, and
I don't
maybe.
get Netflix, sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
All
But
right.
there are a whole lot of good crime, fiction and nonfiction works out there. Plenty to see.
Yeah. Okay.
We only have 2 minutes left, so what else would you like to say, Nancy?
I am grateful for being interviewed by you. I'm honored, very honored, beyond measure. And I hope I bring honor to our group, and that you can all say to people, she was a member of my group and I knew her before she published anything.
All right.
So,
Sounds good to me.
so that seems, and I love your attitude, and I love the people I met, and I'm really thrilled that I found a community of like-minded people. It's a blessing. I feel very fortunate that.
Well, it's
that
a
I
group
found
that I
you.
certainly love too. And I'm glad that you came along, and it was great pleasure to meet you at the picnic and to talk with you today. So
And
I hope this
Look forward to
goes up
many more
in a
events.
couple of
Okay.
days. It should be
Thank
over in a
you.
couple of days.
Thank you very much. Gratitude. Very good.
And you can see others of ours on
Yes. I
YouTube.
saw.
Okay.
It's very, who does the IT? It's very well done. Is that you?
For the moment, I'm all there is. So yes, I do.
Damn good girl.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, and goodbye.
Bye, sweetheart. Thank you.